Hi everyone. This is Monday evening again, and Project True. Thank you for tuning in. Hi Dolores. Hi Steve. Okay, so as you can see, I have very new approach. I mean, it's a very special night because I just kind of open it up to friends. Yeah. Usually I invite like one guest per episode, but this is kind of open night. So, we have people dropping in and out, I guess. Maximum amount of people we can have at one time is 10 people. So, we have room for six more. So, this is a good news. Yeah. Here joining me is or are Noah, Adonis, and Sarah. Thank you so much for joining me.
Absolutely.
Great, great. Um, yeah, I wanted to talk about healing tonight, and I'm just gonna explain a little bit. Hi, Brandy. Oh, hi. Yeah, your partner is tuning in too. I don't know if you can see the chat, you guys, but yeah, JT is here with us. So, hi. Yeah, so
JT, come on the show.
you
They're
could have joined us too. Anyway, healing. So in my previous life, um, I'm still certified to teach yoga, but I taught yoga and meditation on the side. It was not my professional job per se, but I taught it for free because I feel I have a conviction that healing should be free to everyone, free and accessible. So I taught it for free. But then I had this friend, who was from a Fukushima. She was a Fukushima evacuee. She had a cancer and passed away 2 years ago. I was very close to her. She was my activist friend. We met through activism, but we became really close friends. So, for 1 year before she died, uh, I visited her every weekend, and we spent time, like talking and stuff. And I was giving her Reiki at some point, but long story short, after she passed away, I just did not feel like practicing healing anymore because I felt very, very, very helpless. To be honest, I felt broken, and I want and yeah. Anyway, but a few days ago, I had this epiphany, and it's kind of it was because I was just feeling really pain from the community, specifically transgender, non-binary, intersex community. My tribe, right? Because right now, a lot of people that I know are hurting a lot, and I felt very, very helpless actually, and I felt very yeah. I hit the point that I was like, well, I don't know what to do. I can't help them, and I started to meditate. I did the heart meditation where you just open yourself up to whatever comes up, whatever the feeling, whatever the thoughts, come up. And I felt really transformed, so that was the point. I decided, well, I'm ready to start, healing again, healing practices. So that's why I wanted to talk about healing tonight. um yeah.
I mean, honestly, during COVID, COVID is a national health crisis. As a society, I would argue we've all been traumatized to the point where people aren't using their voice anymore and they're perfectly okay with just accepting anything that's gonna just help them survive, which to some degree, I can validate, but in the same degree, it's not okay. I feel like as a planet, we all just need a national reset.
Mhm.
We all need to take a step back, practice some self care, and then have these type of discussions about the issues that are going on, because what's going on in the world is very real. And what I'm trying to do with my organization, I want to produce that healing, because there is a lot of healing that needs to be done, even in the LGBTQ plus.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think, everyone's really hurting right now, and you're right, Noah. I think self care. Um, it's like as a society we stopped caring about. I mean, okay, I think it's like both. I was having this conversation with someone yesterday too. First of all, like we don't take care of ourselves enough. You
Mm-hmm.
know, we are somehow taught that, I don't know, like I think as a society we are taught more about like beating up on ourselves, which is very toxic. And also like we kind of stopped caring about each other, which is just very sad too. So
Well, you also got to remember too, we live in a capitalist society too. Like, I mean, there's a lot of performative ship even in capitalism. They say, "Oh, we really actually care," but they actually don't provide that space for you to be
Yeah.
like, "Oh, you really need to care." I mean, it happens in mental health a lot in my profession, where they highly emphasize that we need to take care of ourselves, but in the same breath, they do not actually really enforce that practice, which in
mhm,
effect it's burning out mental health providers. And it's even providing this mindset that people should not go into this field. And honestly, we need more providers.
right, right. So I just tonight I just wanted to open up the space for everyone to just talk about um talk from our own heart, really, because it's just really casual conversation among friends. I mean, even though this is live streamed, so like people watching us, but I consider this as a safe space. We were talking about safe space before, but one of my objectives of starting this show was to create safe space for transgender, non-binary, intersex folks to come on and talk honestly about uh, our story, because our story individually are very different, and we have commonality, right? We share a lot of things together too, but our stories may be different. So yeah, so so yeah, whatever comes up for you, like I just wanted to, like, what where we need healing, how are we hurting right now? I know it's kind of hard to talk about, I guess, in this space, but if
Right.
somebody, anyone wants to jump in.
Why, one of the things I've observed since coming out is our community is traumatized, and unfortunately, traumatized people innocently and inadvertently end up hurting each other. Um, I've experienced this, and I think a lot of the division in our community has to do with we are so traumatized that um it's like we're expecting more trauma to happen.
Hmm.
And so I think for me what's been helpful is being having authentic community
Hmm.
where I don't have to worry about, oh, am I going to be judged for not being, my or um will I have to feel like I have to measure up, am I going to be considered not trans enough or not, if you could
Hmm.
fill in like whatever category, and basically where
Oh, I
Oh,
think
I lost. Yeah, we lost Sarah, I think. Well, I mean, she'll come back, I'm sure, but Okay, yeah, I wanted to say something, but I'm just gonna wait until she comes up because it's like reference to what she was saying. But um, what about you, Adonis? I don't know much about you, but I just wanted to invite you to kind of say what's what came up for you. Oh,
Yeah, could you repeat the question for me one more time?
yeah, no, it's actually kind of a broad question, where I wanted us to share, like, okay, so what kind of healing are we needing personally, or collectively as a community? Like, where are we hurting, or where are you personally hurting? Hi, Sarah. Oh,
Um,
let's.
I I would say me personally, I'm learning to heal through the grieving process still. Um, uh, almost 10 years ago now, my daughter actually passed away when she was 5 months old,
Oh, wow.
and so it's been a long journey, and I've learned that healing isn't a destination; it's really just the journey.
Mhm.
So every day I get a little bit closer to finding peace, and I think that's what we're all aiming for. Is just we just want to live in peace and spend the time that we have here, lifting each other up.
Mhm. Mhm. Wow. Thank you, Adonis, and I am so sorry about your loss. That's, I can't imagine. I'm a mother too. Well, I don't know if I should say I'm a father, but anyway, I'm a mother, and I have one kid, so I just can't imagine how how painful it is to lose a child. Um, yeah. So Sarah's back, but I don't know if she can hear us. Probably not right now, but anyway. Um, yeah. Well, okay. So I'm just gonna say what I was gonna say in reference to what Sarah was sharing, because um oh, Caroline's here too. Yeah. Hi, Caroline. How are you?
I'm so amazing. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much. So Sarah dropped off, and she's coming back. Oh, okay. We lost her again. But anyhow, so in reference to what Sarah said, I was actually, really relating to what she said, because I started my transition in July of last year, and so I'm kind of like, my voice has changed a little bit. I already had a low voice before transitioning, so it is changing, but like everything else pretty much stays the same. It's like I don't really look any different, and so in our community, passing is a huge thing, right? I don't I try not to give too much, to that, actually, to be honest, but still, I always mention my physique too. I'm 5'2", pretty petite, so there is, sometimes this kind of fear that, well, I'm not measuring up, kind of thing. So I can totally relate to what Sarah was saying. Um, so yeah, Caroline, we were just kind of casually sharing about what kind of healing we, as personally and collectively, needing, or where in your life are you hurting personally, or are we hurting collectively as a community? So
I think collectively, as we lack self compassion, self and compassion for others, and I think that we are far consumed with social media and escaping ourselves. We don't know who we are. That allows us to run a lot of dangerous things to happen in the world, and so I think collectively hurting us is a lack of awareness within our emotions. And personally, I still dealing with. I jumped in right as you were talking about passability. It seemed, and so that's something that I still deal with because I, see myself sometimes in the mirror, but that's off sometimes. It causes a disconnect. So that's something that I'm still working healing through, and really healing through a lot of things. My old way of dealing with that, so now I don't have that. So now no one walks, but I use nature as a way to heal. I like to be out in the yard, grass, walks, sunshine. That helps a lot with healing a lot of the process that's actually going on because hey, I get clarity.
Thank you, Caroline. Unfortunately, parts of the speech I'm actually losing. I don't know if anyone else is hearing it clearly, but I got gist of it, and really thank you for sharing. And yeah, so yeah, in the latter part of the show, of course, like we wanna exchange kind of like a healing uh tip as well. Like where we go to heal ourselves, what kind of method we like to use. So yeah, nature definitely is like one for me too. I live in LA, so I don't really get out to nature that much, but when I can, it's great to be out there and just kind of to be alone, to be honest.
I
So
lived out in Myrtle Beach in Charleston, South Carolina. It was actually in Charleston where I discovered who I was on the Atlantic Ocean. I realized there on the Atlantic Ocean that I was while having conversation with the ocean, literally. And it's hard being back in the Midwest because I'm not a part of that, and so it can be hard finding other ways because it used to be just to drive down the road to be by the. Now I've got to go through a whole 6 cities just to get out to the country to
mm,
make it work. But is my audio cutting out?
sometimes, but I mean, I kind of I heard
So my
better. Yeah.
connection my connection isn't that well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hop off and
Okay.
try to connect. But if I can't come back, thank you for being here and doing what you're doing and having me here. I'd love to connect with you via Facebook Messenger and talk a
Great.
little bit more one on one beyond this. But please continue your show and have a great night. Okay, everyone.
Thank you so much,
You too.
Caroline.
Thank you. Talk soon, everyone.
Thank you. Very nice meeting you.
If there's really that COVID, which it when it's self care and healing, because we had a plan of self care. I already sing the music playing those, but there are things I never would have done before COVID, with like coloring. I know it's silly, but like coloring, actually, like like you said, it brought me a lot of peace. Um, in a sense, escaping that trap of overthinking, because that's
Hmm.
what I struggle with. Like if I experience a little, like I just really over destroying myself.
Hmm.
I mean, I know recently I experienced discrimination at my site, which really screwed me, um, in terms of completing the degree. And I remember feeling so defeated about it. I kept telling myself, this is why trans people do not go into the mental health field to try to practice therapy, because I'm constantly going to be silent. But then I don't know what I always want to say. My kid is, and she came up to me and she said, "Dad, don't give up.
Hmm.
If you inspire, hearing her pain, it just snapped me out." And I
Hmm.
was like, okay, let me go ahead, back, self reflect, practice basic DBT. So, like, basically use it's a technique that uses in the field of mental health. It's called walk. So, the purpose of the way we think, we have emotional, have our logic. A lot of people do think with their emotions, something that I have seen during, but the wise mind is like the middle ground. It's a way to influence both. Embracing that I actually want to give credit to in terms of going outside.
Hmm. Okay. So I don't know if it's just me, but um you're cutting out a little bit too. But
Yeah.
again, I did hear. Okay, what I heard was, so yeah. I do relate to like overthinking. That actually like really stops a lot of us, I think. And so sometimes I think, it's kind of, it's very difficult to verbalize stuff. That's
Mhm.
why I actually like, to me, like a crocheting is like really great. Like you were talking about coloring. I think, anything that takes us out of overthinking, like intellectualizing everything, that's
Mhm.
great. So like, yeah, crocheting is one for me. So meditation's great because like, meditation, you don't have to like really think. Point is just let things come. So, that's, yeah.
Yeah, and so as counselors profession, act as the self care plan requirement. We have to have one. And for me, I further and update month, and it covers every aspect, like our spirit, like our physical wellness, our emotional wellness. What if we were in areas? What do we do about it? So, in a sense, where I did get that information, and hey, I reminded myself, oh crap, I think to put that in myself, but I was able to now. So now I know what to do. Um, but there was something there that said that really relatable to me too is even coming out as trans, because I do see a lot of gatekeeping when it comes to, and as well they don't focus on the seriousness of stuff that's going on. And um, for me it was like how where it's like we have that of what we do, when really we should like abiding by station. We should be asking the questions like, what does this mean? What does this look like? Instead of kicking people.
Hmm.
Were you able to hear that okay?
You were
Not,
cutting in and out pretty badly at
yeah.
the end.
Okay. Go switch rooms, okay?
Okay. Okay, I just wanted to bring up comments while we wait for Noah to come back. So yeah, yeah, I totally relate to that. So JT is saying I have so many crafts to help me from overthinking, knitting and crocheting on my faves. I relate to that. Yeah, crocheting's great. I had like this period of time I was like kind of pretty depressed to be honest, and I really could not do anything else, and I just started crocheting because I don't have to think when I crochet. So um yeah, yeah, cosplay. Oh, that's wonderful. That's great. Oh, hi,
Okay.
Noah.
Can all of you hear me now?
I think, yeah, I hear you better, I think, so far. So far, so
Okay.
good.
Because I was in another internet the best in there. So hopefully I can hear me. What was the last thing that you called?
Okay, I'm sorry. I guess I spoke too soon. You're still like cutting in and out, but
Let me read you.
okay. All right, so I lost everyone, but I just I hope everyone Noah comes back and Adonis comes back, but okay, Noah's here. Hi, Noah.
Hopefully this is better.
Okay, it's a lot better actually. Thank
Oh my
God.
god. Okay. I think what happened, to be honest, is I had a phone call coming in and I denied it. And I notice this every time
Oh.
I use Zoom or any of those type of platforms. When I get a call in, that's when things like mess up.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, no, I now I hear you. It's great. Okay, thank you.
Yes. Okay. What was the last thing that we were talking about?
Okay. um well, actually, honestly, just pick up wherever like you think it's appropriate, because yeah, I don't think neither audience or me was hearing very much of like what you were saying. So
Okay, well then I'll just go ahead and repeat myself
yeah,
then.
yeah, sure.
Basically, I believe I remember what we were talking about. So I was picking up what Sarah was saying about like not really fitting into the LGBTQ and the trans community. I experienced that myself when I first came out, because there's this expectation of what it was supposed to be, when
Mm,
in reality we should be asking the question, what does it look like for you?
mm, mm,
Because we have this gender norm status that's going on, and people are going to that, and it's like, no, that you should be, you should decide what that looks like for you, not what somebody else tells you to do. I mean, for example, I got criticized on TikTok because I have long nails, and it's like, okay, why are you focused on my nails? Like, I mean, it's not a big deal. Like, if I want to have long nails, like, that's my choice. Don't dictate to me like what that's supposed to be. And basically, I was told, well, you're a man and that's disgusting to have it. And it's like, okay, whatever, bye.
right.
And it's, and honestly, I think having that expectation set, I think that's created some division, at
Mm,
least in the trans and non binary communities. I do see a lot of conflict with the trans and non-binary communities. My other partner, JT, who is non-binary, like they were telling me, like they don't even sometimes feel like they truly fit in to the trans community, because they gatekeep
mm,
so much, because they everything is set to a binary standard, and it's like, no, gender is
mm,
not binary. Stop it. And I
right.
mean, the stuff that's going on with trans youth right now, like just non-binary people honestly are going to be next, and they're going to get it just as bad as trans people. I mean,
Mm.
they are in a sense by association getting it, it's bad, but if you take the non-binary component out, they're going to get it just as worse.
I agree with that. I identified as non-binary for 4 years before coming out as trans,
Mm-hmm.
and in some ways, I just feel like it's gonna be harder for trans people because uh, this world is really binary.
Mm-hmm.
So people always demanding that you make a choice. And they're like missing the whole point. But um I've heard like people talk about like at work, right? I mean, there are people, non-binary people who are out at work and like being made fun of because people don't take them seriously. They laugh at like to their face, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was like my actually one of my worst fears too. Like when I identified as non-binary, I never came out at work. um I was out as lesbian previously at work, but I never thought of like coming out as non-binary at work because it terrified me that
Mm-hmm.
first of all, I wouldn't be taken seriously, and second of all, um I felt like people would be so I would face some harassment, because of that. So yeah, I agree with you. I think non-binary people, are in a very, very difficult position.
I mean, it's going back to the whole pronoun thing. That's the thing that I see from cis people a lot, is the pronoun thing. And it's like, who cares? Like, just acknowledge them as they are. Like, let them be them. Like, don't try to politicize it. And I think that's another reason why there's so much division in the LGBTQ, because the LGBTQ establishment, I mean, they're really overusing identity politics. They are in a sense being very performative as well. And in a sense, it's creating these conversations that we really shouldn't be having. Like, they're basically distractor conversations.
Mm,
We
mm,
really need to be, I mean, when I was growing up, I always saw the LGBTQ plus as like a united front.
mm,
And when I actually came out, even as a bisexual woman, like I was accepted because during that time I grew up in the 90s. where being trans was not even being heard of. It was more focused on the orientation aspect. And
Right.
I was more accepted as a bisexual. And, like, I was afraid to come out as trans. And I was living in a blue state. And when I came out here to California, it was like I came out as trans and I felt better. But in the same breath, I was still receiving shit regardless. And it's just very discouraging. Like I mean, for years, I lived as the wrong person for 32 years. There have been many times I wanted to end my own life because I couldn't even stand being in my own skin. And being out here thinking that I'm going to finally be able to live myself authentically, at least this is how I was thinking in the earlier stages when I was coming, like really proceeding to be myself. Like maybe I should have just stayed in the closet because I was experiencing so much shit even during the early stages of my transition. Like I was told that like I need to dress my appropriate gender.
Oh God.
Yeah, you're confusing children. Or when my kid came out as gay before she came out as trans, they were telling me, are your hormones messed up? Do you need to get that checked? And all I can think to myself, oh, you're very lucky we're in a professional setting, because if this was said outside of that, you and me would be talking in the because that's the most offensive thing you can say to a trans person.
Right. Yeah.
I've had people like recently, I've had people trying to educate me about being trans. And
wow.
I see that from white, gay, cis people. And it's more so with cis men that I see this with. And it's like they go on this front. It's like, well, actually, just to give a little background, this person that did this, he was trying to tell me, like, I used to work for the Gender Health Center, and like they really opened my eyes to everything. For a while, I was like, okay, there may be some authenticity there. But when I had this meeting with him, he is like, I know what the trans phobia alert goes, and if I see it, I'm going to see it. And it's like, I didn't see any transphobia, but this is what transphobia really is. And I'm like, excuse me, well, you're cis and you're not trans. Why are you trying to educate me about what being transphobic is?
Yeah. Wow.
And I was painted out to be this unstable monster. And for me, there are days that I think it's like, maybe I should go back to the closet. Maybe I should detransition. But, in the same breath, even despite the little, like all the shit that I have received, it gives me that empowerment too. I always say use hate as a motivator to fight harder. And that's essentially, I have convinced myself now at this point, it's like, that's what I need to do. And honestly, doing what I'm doing with Trans Collaborative right now, like that's been actually helping me mentally. I feel like a sense of self-fulfillment. And that's essentially what we look for anyway, as even if you are cis, we all want to have that meaning and purpose. We want to identify it. And once you identify it, you have that self-fulfillment.
And
I
agree with that. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh no, that was it.
Oh, okay. I keep thinking, I'm kind of sad that we lost Sarah, because if she's watching, I hope she'll come back. But anyway, because last week when Sarah was here, we kind of touched on like how, and you touched on this too, actually, right now, how, so within LGBTQ IA plus community, we actually have like a very, very toxic idea about the world as a binary place, right? I mean, and I experienced that a lot, like in lesbian community, when I was identifying as lesbian, because there are a lot of like gender plays in the lesbian community. And I guess if you are having fun role playing, I guess it's one thing. But I mean, when you kind of start dictating, how you should be as a femme or as a butch, whatever, I
Mhm.
think that becomes very, very limiting and very toxic, So I was just thinking about that because Sarah touched on that issue last week as well.
Yeah,
Um,
that's something that me and her are going to be doing. We're doing as part of Train Collaborative. We're going to do a show together that really specifically talks about these issues because honestly, like if you think about the division in the whole, like with especially when it pertains to the anti-trans legislation that's going on. I mean, yes, there's like transphobic cis men that are doing all this, but like if you really think about it, it's happening with cis lesbians, cis gays. They are the ones in a sense like driving that to happen. It's just on it, they're giving the wrong people the power to do that, and honestly it's really discouraging. Like when my kid came out as trans, like I my personal experience with the lesbian community, when I came out as trans I was very accepted.
mm,
Once my child came out as trans, that's when it was like, nope, 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 that's not okay. Then the misgendering came, like, you need to start being a better mother to your son and blah, blah, blah. I mean, I got so much hate after. I'm like, wow, like, really? Like, you're accepting of me, but yet when my kid comes out as trans, that's not okay? What's up here? Like,
wow.
kid is not like she's not hurting anyone. She's trying to live herself authentically. Even
Mm,
dealing with what I dealt with today with a cis woman who basically said, well, you need to stop grooming your child. We don't need any more boys. And I mean, literally, my kid's listening to this stuff too. And we don't need any more boys trying to attack us and hurt us and everything.
oh,
It was just like, okay, what the hell? This it's just a bathroom, okay? Like, did she just like go to the bathroom? Like, what does this happen? She's a child. Like, why are
mm,
you so focused on the genital aspect? And like, that's another thing that kind of like has been brought into that toxic discussion. It's like, why are we so focused on anatomy?
mm,
Like, that's not even the issue. And I see a lot of cis lesbians pulling that stuff. It's not
mm,
okay. It's
yeah,
very
God.
depressing, to be honest. Like, even when I've criticized J.K. Rowling, I've gotten so much crap from cis lesbians talking about this is so blasphemous. This is slander. I'm gonna go call Scotland Yard and tell them you're doing. I'm like, okay, but but it's just like, yeah, there is a lot of toxicity with the lesbian community. And honestly, it needs to stop. Like, you I think lesbians also need to remember too, like they were there for the trans community. They were there with cis gay men too when gays were trying to get liberated. What
Mm,
happened to that?
mm,
What happened
mm,
to that community? That's the community I'm interested in collaborating with. I am not
right.
interested in these gatekeeping lesbians that are dividing.
Mm, mm. Right, right. I totally agree. And we are getting all these lovely comment. Brandy said a very similar thing too. Everyone should have the right to be who they want to be or who they really are. And I agree. And so, I had an insight actually. Um, so before I came out as trans, so I was identifying as non-binary, and I started this project because back in college I studied documentary filmmaking, and I
Mm-hmm.
was inspired to interview people about specifically women about gender,
Mm-hmm.
um, because I was looking at the statistics that so in this in the United States, I forgot the year. It was probably like 2019, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But like a lot of girls, I think five or four times more than boys, uh attempted suicide or had a suicidal thoughts, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to interview a lot of I actually set the goal like 100 women. I ended up like interviewing 20. I didn't get to 100, but about like growing up as a girl. So my working um work in progress title was girlhood.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, but when I was interviewing a lot of women, though, because they were telling me, a majority of them actually told me that they wish they could do away with gender altogether. They don't want to, they see it as very limiting. They don't want to be bound by the gender norms, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like, actually, trans liberation is actually liberation for all.
Mm-hmm.
I strongly believe that, because I think, okay, I know there are trans people out there who are really like stuck up about like gender roles and gender stereotypes as well. But I think, you and me, for instance, I mean, what we want actually is to be who we are individually, right? I mean, like like long nails or short nails doesn't matter. I mean, it's like, why do your nails have to be gendered, right? I
Right.
mean, so yeah, I
That's.
just feel like,
Oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. I didn't
No,
mean
no,
it.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say I wouldn't even just saying as an individual. I say I just as a human being.
Right.
I mean, I there's even debates even just be having the trans label itself. Me personally, I'm kind of conflicted with that. Like, so, like on one hand, like I'm proud to be trans because of the fact that I was able to find myself and I'm able to live myself authentically. But in the
Mm,
same breath, I don't even like to be called trans because, in a sense, it kind of reinforces that stigma that trans people face.
mm,
It's
mm,
like you're saying, "Oh, well, you're not actually human. You're just an actual like I don't even know what you are, but you're not human." So in that breath, I don't even like to be referred to as trans. And in the same sense, too, having people announce like, "Hey, well, this is a trans man." In a sense, it kind of also reinforces the toxicity that's going on with identity politics.
mm,
So in a sense, I just wanted to say, "Look, I'm human. Don't even call me trans. Call me human."
mm, mm. Yeah, I agree with that. I actually was thinking about, okay, so I always like think about this word transition and what's happening to me right now. And so here's the thing, I was thinking about this last week because and I was kind of in a sort of like a, not depressed, but I wasn't in a exactly in a good place when I was thinking about this, because I was just having thoughts about um reinventing my life. So
Hmm.
like, since I came out, I kind of, especially career wise, work wise, uh, because I mean, I lost my job before I started transition. I kind of have to, I, I'm still having to kind of reinvent myself
Hmm.
because I kind of lost all my business contacts, right? Or I'm afraid to reach out to these people who knew me as female, right?
Hmm.
So I'm having to reinvent myself. And I was pissed off
Hmm.
because there's no reason why I have to reinvent myself, because to me, I've always been here. You
Hmm.
know, I did not like really. I mean, it's kind of strange to me that like, I have to like relate to the world any differently because I've always been here. Nothing changed about me. I mean, okay, I am taking hormone, so my voice is changing, but it's like everything else. Like I have not changed like how I behave in the world.
Hmm.
I've always been here, and it's just like frankly pisses me off that I have to reinvent myself because I shouldn't have to, right? So yeah, I mean, trans. I guess I in the world, I guess I have to identify myself as transgender person, but um, I feel the same way, just as you described just now, that I feel kind of uncomfortable. Like, why can't I be just me?
Yeah, and I mean, even with the whole transitioning thing, I sometimes I don't even like to use the word transitioning. I actually prefer the word transformation because kind of going to your point, like in a sense, like I tell people, like I've always been there. It's just, it's been suppressed and I've not been able to properly express it. I have help now to help me express that. Yeah, like my looks are a little bit different. And yes, my voice is different. But then again, I've always kind of had an androgynous voice anyway, pre transitioning. But, like, in a sense, I'm trying to think of the concept. Like Maslow's pyramid of hierarchy needs. The last one, which is self actualization. In a sense, like, I'm trying to get to that moment. I'm transforming myself into that moment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm being I am. I'm actually finally releasing this person out of me. I
Mm-hmm.
can't even put it in that context, like in the third person context, but it's just like, but that's what it is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I lived a fake. I always say that I lived a fake life before transitioning, because yes, I was like presented the wrong way, but in the same breath, I've always been me inside of me. It's just been suppressed.
Mm-hmm.
How,
Mm-hmm.
like I'm able to live myself the way what it was meant to be. I feel whole and complete.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever I get crap from haters, transphobes, whatever, it doesn't bother me, because I am at peace knowing that I'm living myself as authentically as I
Right, right. Yeah, no, I feel the same way. Yeah, I actually say like pretend life. I was always acting a part.
can. Mm-hmm.
I feel like, before I came out. Um, and right now, it's very similar to what you said. I feel like, okay, so um, I have this mental image of sculpting or
Mm-hmm.
chiseling, I guess. There's this like um I don't know, it can be wood, it can be stone, whatever, okay? And it's me. And there is, inside, there is like always, there has always been me inside. And I'm just chiseling to uncover, what's inside.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's how I feel, so um yeah.
That is something that's why I said I'm always proud to be trans, though, because I've been able to chisel little things by little. Like, I mean, I see. I think a lot of it also has to do with the fact of what I'm about to say, just being in the field of mental health, going through it educationally. I've always considered myself as an introvert, and
Hmm.
going through this program, and I started to kind of like adapt a little bit and started opening up a little bit more. But like, actually, that was kind of like my first clue, saying it's like, okay, so I know I have some outspoken traits here. I'm just too afraid to do it. I need something. When I was able to actually fully, in a sense, start my transitioning journey, I was able, in a sense, since I had that permission, I was able to really express that, okay, I am outspoken. I can express
Hmm.
it now. I've discovered that I am an extrovert. I'm not an introvert. It was like a shift.
Hmm.
And that's the thing that worries me with what's going on in society. It's like, yes, there's people out there talking about, like, yeah, this is going to be damaging to mental health, but I don't think they really take that seriously. How can trans people gain access to the things that they need to live themselves when
Hmm.
you are sitting there constantly, like, in a sense, supporting like the anti-trans rhetoric that's going on?
Hmm. Hmm.
Why are you scaring people away? It worries me. And honestly, I'm worried about my child, to be honest.
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
in California, and I'm pretty sure, like, nothing really, like, legislation wise, I don't think there's going to be any trans legislation. But I still worry about her because there's still that societal factor. I live in Sacramento. Sacramento is hella conservative.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people know that stuff because they always imagine like California, the blue state, the progressive state, nothing bad. No, it happens. It exists.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. No, Sacramento is a very weird place. I mean, you can feel it when you are there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's state capital and all, so like being a state capital of blue state, people imagine that it's liberal, but mm, not really. It's very conservative. Um, yeah, but I hear
Well,
you. I think suppressing people in any way. I mean, Brand is commenting our society puts so much pressure to on people to conform. I mean, this stuff is not good for anyone. Cis people, trans people, non-binary people, gay, lesbian, straight, whatever. It's not good for anyone. And I just don't get it. Like, I don't know why some people are supporting this idea of, like, putting pressure on people to conform, or expect them to act in certain way or be certain way. It's not good for anyone.
and I even with the attacks that we get from cis people too, it's very hypocritical too. It's like nobody is forcing anybody to be cis.
Mm,
I'm saying we're not forcing anybody to be trans. If anything, we're trying to empower those to not suppress themselves because I believe it was in 2021, the Trevor Project did their stats on trans youth and LGBTQ youth. I mean, there is at least, if I remember correctly, like 70% of trans youth either had a combination of ideations or actual attempts on their life.
mm,
And I also try to think to myself too. I told my daughter this morning. It's like right now you have it pretty good because I would have loved to have had access to hormone treatments when I was growing up because
mm,
like imagine I probably would have been like better mentally.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And it doesn't help too when you got providers that in a sense kind of engage in that performative allyship too as well that is in a sense pushing more trans people back and they don't have those type of resources in terms of like self-care and healing as
mm-hmm,
before COVID. I mean, COVID for me has been kind of a lot of cons obviously, but there have been a lot of pros. But I mean, COVID is a national mental health crisis. We
mm,
as a society have been traumatized in all aspects, in every dynamic. There's a lot of people that have lost their houses, a lot of people that have not had access to food. More importantly, people are losing their health care.
mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
it's just really, really disturbing to me and it's concerning to me. I honestly what scares me the most is becoming another statistic. Oh, well, this person died from a suicide or this person or actually committed suicide. I don't want
Okay, Noah. You're cutting out a little bit, but we have like 6 minutes left, so I just kind of wanted to say something that was actually inspired by what you said, not during this session, but when we were talking yesterday, I think. So, we were talking about healing today, and one of the things that came up for me is that this idea of like, we really need this collective healing, community based healing. And you mentioned yesterday, one of the things that you wanted to do through Trang Collaborative is, sort of mutual aid stuff,
to.
providing resources like, food, supplies to people
Mhm,
in need, and demonstrating that, trans community care, right?
mhm,
And I thought that was very powerful stuff because, so in terms like meditation,
mhm,
I was talking about meditation in the beginning, and how I approach it is, it is of course for your own healing, but to me, practicing meditation collectively is actually you are healing the community, that you engage in. So I do this like heart meditation
Mhm.
where, well, actually, it's inspired by practice Vietnamese, practice called Tonleng, which is you breathe in suffering and pain of the world, and you breathe out, the power to heal.
Mhm.
And that's actually really powerful stuff. I was gonna demonstrate right now, but we don't have time. But maybe some other time. But I think whether you practice meditation or not, I think as a community or as a world, as human beings, we really start practicing that, caring for each other, regardless of like who you are, really. Like, doesn't matter if you're trans, cis, straight, gay, whatever. You just need to demonstrate like you do care about each other.
Mhm.
Um, and that's like I think the biggest form of healing.
So what I've been doing actually since I've been my platform's been growing on TikTok, what I've been doing is I'll make a little video and said, "Hey, like before you scroll past this, tell someone you love them today and they matter." So I have been demonstrating that
Beautiful.
on social media because that's
Mm,
missing in society. Compassion and empathy are going away. We need to start
mm,
demonstrating more. That is when the healing begins. Is when we do that. Accept the fact that we're going to have disagreements. That's what makes us unique. I mean, come on. Do you really want to live in a planet where we all actually agree with each other? That for me, I personally love having like the diversity and conversations.
mm,
We can all agree to disagree, but let's demonstrate compassion and empathy.
mhm,
Instead
mhm.
of with hate and ignorance. So yeah,
Right.
powerful. We need to start doing that instead of
Mm,
trying to do it collaborative.
yeah. 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 Thank you for creating that space in on social media, because it can be so toxic, but um, I mean, it can be positive force in the world too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really beautiful what you said. I mean, little things like that really matter.
Yeah,
Just telling someone that you love them and they matter
yeah.
is, yeah.
We all matter. We only live once in this world. Okay, like why waste it being hateful? We were obviously. I know a lot of people. I hope I don't get canceled for saying this, but I know there's a reason why we're here, and we need to remind people like you're my neighbor. I love you.
Mm,
I may not agree with you all the time, but I love you and you matter.
mm-hmm,
Just simply demonstrating that. No more playing the bickering game. No more engaging in this performative stuff that's going in society. Let's
mm-hmm.
demonstrate genuine, authentic empathy and
Right, right. Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Amen to that. Yeah, I think I just personally just like I just want to stop like all of us to like one up each other. Like we don't have to win all the time. We don't have to like I think it's just like we got to the point this world is like so much about winning and so much about like I don't know. I mean,
that's a whole other topic. I mean, I would argue there's a lot of people that have entitlement syndrome. To be honest, that's basically what it like. If they don't agree with you or you don't agree with them, we're just gonna block them and cut them out and isolate them out. That's basically what's going on. But yeah, that's a whole other topic to discuss.
right. Wow. Okay. I just want to say because it's 7 p.m. But thank you, Noah, for joining me, and I'm kind of sad. I would say sorry, Sarah, Adonis, and Caroline. I don't know why the technical difficulty.
Sarah
But
had a storm. there's a storm where Sarah is, and it's messing with her.
Oh,
So that's
all
what
right.
she texted me.
Okay. Well, that actually kind of made me feel better, but definitely Sarah should come back. I'm inviting her back
Yes.
because yeah, we have a lot to talk about. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
so well, thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. And I'll be back next Monday. But I think, okay, next Monday actually will be recorded show because I am participating in Poor People's Campaign action on next Monday in LA. So, but it'll be recorded and it'll be on. So, please come back and please like, share, and subscribe to Kaberos Media. And also, lastly, keep watching what Noah is building right now. It's gonna be revealed to you soon in June, right?
June 2nd.
All right, June 2nd. Keep watching. All right. Thank you so much, guys. Have a good night.
You have a good night.
All right.